Yes, Bali's government wants to see your bank balance. And no, your family holiday is not about to get turned around at the airport. Both of those things are true at once, and the gap between them is exactly what this video is for. In January, Bali's governor announced the island wants to screen tourists by their savings. 3 months of bank statements, your length of stay, your plans. The headlines went feral in both directions. Bali only wants rich tourists now, on one side. Nothing to see here, on the other. Both are wrong, and I'll prove it to you. Here's the answer up front. There are 3 versions of this rule. One that's a proposal, one that's already law for some visas, and one that's been sitting in the fine print the whole time. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which version applies to your trip, the actual dollar figures, who gets asked, and the 10 minutes of prep that means you'll never have to think about it again. Picture it. You land at Ngurah at 11 at night. 6 hours from Perth, kids asleep on their feet, and the officer at the desk asks for 3 months of bank statements. That's the scene the headlines sold you. Let's find out who it actually happens to. The facts first, because the facts are better than the panic. In the first week of January 2026, Bali's governor, Wayan Koster, confirmed his government is preparing what's being called the Quality Tourism Regulation. His words, through the Indonesian press. One aspect of quality tourism is the amount of money in visitors' savings accounts over the past 3 months. Authorities would also look at how long you're staying and what you're planning to do. The proposal was described as nearly complete, heading to the regional lawmakers, intended to take effect this year. Now the context, because it's the why behind everything in this video. Bali had its biggest tourism year in history in 2025. 7 million arrivals by air alone, another 70-odd thousand by sea. The traffic, the rubbish, the beach clubbification. You've watched it on this channel. And floating on top of those 7 million is the problem this rule is actually aimed at. The broke foreigner. The ones who arrive with $80 and a dream, end up sleeping on the beach, busking, doing cash work illegally, and since April, getting detained by the immigration task force we've covered before, 62 of them this spring, in the areas you know. So when the governor says quality tourism, translate it plainly. Bali wants tourists who can afford to be tourists. Whether that's fair is a pub debate. That it's happening is not. And here's a wrinkle nobody reported. Bali's provincial government doesn't stamp passports, national immigration does. A state-level rule about money has to be enforced by a national authority at a national border, and that handshake is still being sorted. That's part of why this is a draft and not a desk sign-off. The intention is real. The machinery is being built. Now, the part every headline mangled. There is no single bank balance rule. There are 3, and they live in different worlds. Version 1. The proposal. The governor's 3-month statement screening for regular tourists. As of this recording, August 2026, this is still a draft regulation working through the process. It has not been signed, there's no fixed minimum announced for ordinary holidaymakers, and nobody at the airport is systematically asking every family for their bank statements. If your trip is a normal one, 2 weeks, return tickets, hotel booked, this version does not currently touch you. It might later this year. Watch this channel, and you'll know the week it does. Version 2. The rule that's already real. Right now, and this existed before the headlines, if you apply for Indonesia's longer stay visas, the C1 or the D1 multiple entry, you must provide personal bank statements covering the last 3 months, with a minimum balance of $2,000. That's about 32.5 million rupiah, or roughly 3,000 Australian dollars. Not a proposal. Current. So if you're a long stayer, the 6-week escape the winter crowd, the remote workers doing it properly, the bank statement rule already has your name on it. And if you're thinking bigger, the retirement visa carries its own funds bar, $3,000 a month. Different video? Linked below. A note on who version 2 really hits, because it's a big slice of this audience. The C1 is the 60-day social visa, and the D1 is the 1-year multiple entry. The 2 visas the escape the Aussie winter crowd runs on. If that's you, the $2,000 3-month statement requirement isn't news and isn't optional. It's the current application standard, and agents will ask for it before immigration does. The headlines screamed about tourists. The rule that actually exists today lives in the long stay lane. Version 3. The rule that was always there. Indonesian immigration law has always included sufficient funds for entry. Every country has some version of it. What's changed in 2026 is appetite. Officers at Bali's airport have discretion to ask, and travelers report it being used more, especially on people who look like they might struggle. One-way tickets, very long planned stays, repeat entries, young and solo, or anyone whose story doesn't add up. The benchmark floating around officer guidance is about $100 per day of your intended stay. 2 weeks? Call it $1,400, a bit over $2,000 Australian, in accessible money. And version 3 deserves 30 seconds of respect, because it's the one with teeth today. Sufficient funds has been sitting in Indonesian immigration law for years. It's on the same page as the return ticket rule nobody reads. Australians never heard about it because it was almost never used. The 2026 difference isn't the law, it's that officers have been given a reason to care. The bagpacker problem, the illegal worker problem, the 62 detained this spring. A law plus a reason equals a check. So, proposal for everyone. Law for long stayers. Discretion for everybody else. That's the whole truth. And nobody on the news said it that clearly. Let's do the money properly, because the details are where people get caught. $2,000, the number for the long stay visas, is not as scary as it sounds, and here's why. It's roughly what a comfortable Bali trip costs anyway. Our Christmas video did the maths. A couple of weeks mid-range runs you $1,500 to $2,000. The threshold isn't set at luxury. It's set at, can afford the trip you're taking. What counts as proof? Official bank statements, downloaded PDFs or branch printed, covering 3 months. A balance letter from your bank is even better. A screenshot of your banking app showing the live balance is increasingly accepted as backup. And why 3 months of history instead of just today's number? Because they're checking it's your money, not a deposit your mate transferred in yesterday to make you look solvent. The 3-month window is the anti-trick trick. What doesn't count? Crypto wallets, PayPal balances, mostly money on the way, and a verbal assurance that you're good for it. If you can't print it or screenshot it from a recognized institution, it isn't proof. And one Australian flavored note, a credit card with a healthy limit sometimes works as partial evidence. Officers call, don't rely on it. The boring answer wins. Savings account, 3 months, PDF on your phone. Quick maths for the family planners. Officers work off about $100 per person per day as a mental benchmark, but one adult statement showing the combined family figure is generally accepted. And the question everyone asks me, what if my balance dips the week before I fly? It's the 3-month story they're reading, not one bad Tuesday. A normal life with normal ups and downs looks like a normal life. That's fine. Who actually gets pulled aside? From every report out of the airport this year, the pattern's consistent. One-way ticket holders. Very long stays on a short stay visa. 3rd or 4th entry in a year. Young, solo, or visibly budget. And I say this with love. As a man who has worn the same 3 shirts to Bali for a decade, anyone who looks like the trip might be more hope than plan. Families with return tickets and a hotel booking are simply not the target. One more pattern from this year's reports. Late-night arrivals get checked more. Not because of the hour, because the queues are shorter, and officers have time to be thorough. The 11 p.m. Perth flight is statistically your chatty officer special. And the strongest signal you can send isn't a suit or a smile, it's a folder. Prepared people get waved through. The 10 minutes of prep isn't just evidence, it's body language. And if you can't show funds when asked, then it's secondary screening. The side room, the questions, the worst hour of your travel life, and in the worst case, refused entry. Refused means you're on the next flight home at your own expense. And here's the detail that makes this real before you even leave. Airlines can be fined for carrying passengers who get refused. So some airlines now check documents at the boarding gate. Better stopped in Sydney than in Denpasar. Sydney you can drive home from. My mate Dave flies out in March. Dave's bank balance dips to $84 the week before every payday, because Dave is Dave. I showed him the 3-month rule and he went quiet. There's a lot of that going around. Then he did the prep in one ad break. Statements downloaded, balance letter requested, return ticket printed. If Dave can clear this bar during the ads, so can you. Which brings us to the prep. And I mean 10 minutes, because that's all this takes. 5 things. All on your phone, all before you fly. 1. 3 months of bank statements as PDFs. Download them from your banking app or internet banking tonight. 2. A fresh screenshot of your balance, taken in the week you fly. 3. Your return or onward ticket, which is honestly the real bank statement, because it proves you're leaving. 4. Your first few nights, accommodation confirmation. 5. Your travel insurance policy, which signals someone's already assessed you, and you should have it anyway, as the hospital video made painfully clear. Families. One adult can carry the combined proof for everyone. And keep it all in your carry-on. Immigration happens before baggage claim, and a bank statement in a checked suitcase is a very expensive decoration. 2 belt and braces ads. Ask your bank for a balance confirmation letter. Most issue them in a day or two, and a letterhead beats a screenshot at a border. And email everything to yourself, plus print one set. Phone dead, Wi-Fi down, officer waiting, paper doesn't buffer. Remember the odds from the traveler reports. Maybe 1 traveler in 50 gets asked. Prep so that if it's you, it's 30 seconds and a stamp, not an hour in the side room. That's it. 10 minutes. And then you will never think about this rule again, which is the correct amount to think about it. Now the read. The part that isn't in any headline. This is one chapter of a story we've been watching all year on this channel. The tourist levy in 2024. The new criminal code on January 1st. The task force in April, 62 detained. The levy spot checks at the temples. The scooter checkpoints. And now, money screening. Bali is tightening every bolt on the machine at once, and every single one of those bolts says the same sentence: come, spend, behave, leave. The island that took anyone for 50 years is now choosing. And honestly, I've got a grudging respect for the logic. Bali's problem was never the family from Brisbane with a return ticket and a villa deposit. It was the arrivals who planned to fund the dream with busking and cashies. This rule is a net thrown at them. And if you're watching this with a normal bank account and a normal holiday planned, you're not the catch. You're barely the bycatch. Is a wealth test for a holiday fair? Pub question. Both sides have a case. But here's the view from the ground. The Balinese mum commuting through Canggu traffic at 6 a.m. The cleanup crews raking the trash tides at dawn. They have been paying the price of 7 million arrivals without sharing much of the upside. When the governor says quality over quantity, he's really saying the island wants visitors who contribute more than they cost. You can argue with it. I just find it hard to be outraged by it. So no. Bali does not want only rich tourists. Bali wants tourists who can afford their own trip. If that's you, and it's nearly everyone watching, this whole story is 10 minutes of prep and nothing more. The honesty paragraph, because this channel has one every time. This story moves fast, and it may already have moved. The draft could be signed next month, or stuck in committee next year, and the numbers could change when it lands. I'm a bloke who's been going to Bali for 20 years, not a migration agent. Before you fly, check the official Indonesian immigration site and Smart Traveller. And if you're doing anything longer or fancier than a standard holiday, the C1, the D1, remote work, talk to a proper visa agent, because those rules are real, current, and enforced. What's in this video is the state of play as of August 2026, and the moment it changes, we'll update you here. That's not a slogan, it's the arrangement. Next upload. Back to the VS Wars. 2 of Bali's most famous neighbors go head to head, and one of them has been living off its reputation for 15 years. If you're watching on the TV, grab your phone, search TRIPZONE, subscribe, and send this one to anyone flying to Bali this year. Their 10 minutes of prep starts with this video. Bali wants to see your bank balance. Fine. Screenshot it, save the PDF, and go enjoy the island, with the one thing money can't buy, which is knowing you're fine.